This offseason, the Arizona Cardinals looked at their roster as well as the rest of the division and conference and said, we need to improve on the defensive side of the football. Last year, the defense was okay. Most of the time, it wasn't always the reason they weren't able to have success and win games. Like at the end of the year, could have had a score against the Los Angeles Rams to beat them at the end of the year. But they decided we want to amass the Infinity Stones of the Big Ten. Remember, Paris Johnson, their future at left tackle, Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr., 2 years ago, the 4th overall pick in the draft from the Buckeyes. They go out and decide to spend the first 5 picks all defense. They get Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, and then it is a run on Big Ten. They take Will Johnson at corner, who falls all the way down to them that far in the draft. Remarkable. They take Jordan Burch in the 3rd from Oregon, one of the most productive pass rushers and defensive run stoppers in football. An athlete, ran like a 4.7 40-yard dash to 280 pounds. And then they go with the Buckeyes. They took Cody Simon, the Rose Bowl and National Championship defensive MVP, and then Denzel Burke, who certainly knows what it's like to go up against Marvin in practice. What does this mean? The roster is ready for competition. They want to blood these guys and get them out there competing. They will have their opportunity to do so because finishing not at the top of the division means the opponents that you play are a little bit weaker. It's just a matter of how they do against it. What needs to be understood about the Arizona Cardinals under Gannon is that they're going to be very heavily focused on Trey McBride. He's not just going to have like 2-3 touchdowns next year. It's going to be close to 10. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. is a top 10 wide receiver, probably top 6. He's going to be getting 150, 160 targets, and they are going to lean on him as well as the defense with all these new guys. This is not the year Arizona goes to the Super Bowl, but it is a year that they can compete for a wild card spot, and that is why we're going to break down their 2025 schedule, preview this entire thing from start to finish, week 1 through 18, and how I think it is going to wind up. It all starts on the road in the Superdome against the New Orleans Saints. I've got the Saints as a bottom 2 team in the NFL, and 30 points dropped on them by Arizona week 1. Love that matchup for the Cardinals and the fact that they're playing New Orleans. 30-14. Why? Because that they're able to lean on the outside of their roster as a whole. Will Johnson, if his knees are okay, even if they're not okay, he can cover what New Orleans has in Chris Olave. Run with him down the field. We'll see if Denzel Burke ends up working into that rotation as far as it goes for a starting cornerback. Remember, Josh Sweat came over from Philadelphia. Like, they leaned on some veteran ability with Calais Campbell, was with Miami, had been with Baltimore. Dalvin Tomlinson, remember, with Cleveland. Before that, I want to say he was with Minnesota. Like, they gathered a lot of these fundamental pieces on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, we all know about Budda Baker back there and what they have, but who is going to like materialize as that the starting corner opposite of Will Johnson? And I mean, it could be Denzel Burke. It just depends on if he can improve. Remember, that Oregon game last year wasn't his best showing. So after that, week 2, 2-0 start, 34-25. They're playing the Panthers. I mean, the NFC South, you got the Saints and the Panthers. Why not 2-0? Dropping points, 34-25. They can limit Bryce Young, find a way to stick. Do you put Will Johnson on McMillan, or do you put Will Johnson on Leggett? Not exactly sure quite yet, because they're both extremely talented, and you got to cover somebody. Like, maybe McMillan in the red zone and then Leggett elsewhere, but Leggett's also 6'3", 230 pounds. He's a tough cover anywhere on the field, not just in the red zone. But like the Cardinals to win that game because of Kyler's legs and James Conner, like Trey Benson, that run game that they have, the versatility with Kyler on the move, extending plays. That's where they have an ability to lean on, right, that defense, the veteran, whereas Carolina, a little bit younger, right, with Nick Scourton, Princely Almon Mielen, Lathan Ransom, another Ohio State Buckeye within that team who they have. It's going to take Carolina a year to mesh, whereas like Arizona, if this goes the right way defensively, that defense can be better immediately. Week 3, it's just a tough one at San Francisco. I'm a bit down on the 49ers overall, but a loss 16-20 can be one of those games. The 49ers will have a few games this year where they look like their former self, even though they just aren't. There's no Dre Greenlaw, there's no DeForest Buckner, there's no Eric Armstead, there's no Talanoa Hufanga, Shavarius Ward. Like, half the players from the Super Bowl teams are gone. There's no Tebow Samuel on the offensive side of the ball, but San Francisco with Purdy and Ayuk, Kittle, McCaffrey, like they do have weapons. Also, if I'm mentioning guys to be impacts and you're like, wait, didn't they get hurt? What's going on? I myself, when you're watching this video, I'm currently in Africa. That's why I made this video a couple of weeks prior, so that when I was in Africa, we can keep momentum, get you all fired up and ready, consuming content before the season comes out, because obviously Tanzania, Kenya can't exactly rely on having time to film when I am on safari seeing the great migrations. Keeping this along, so a 2-1 Arizona Cardinals team. The fans are feeling pretty good about it. It's a Thursday night game, going to be on the road against the Seattle Seahawks. I do have a loss, 20-26. Bear with me here. Cooper Kupp savvy. This kid is savvy. Jackson Smith-Njigba he might as well be a 33-year-old guy in a 23-year-old's body, because he is very talented cerebrally with Kupp, and getting to learn from Kupp is such an opportunity. Being able to understand leverage, of course, every wide receiver needs to go to, as well as spacing. It's so important. Really one of the smarter, younger wide receivers in the game. Like Seattle to win that one. You get to see that matchup. Will Johnson against the Buckeye in Jackson Smith-Njigba. Maybe Marvin is able to give Will Johnson a little bit of something. Remember Marvin in that Utah game that Jackson went for like 300 yards or like 340 and 3 touchdowns. Marvin actually, he had a couple touchdowns in that game also, like 3. So 2-2 Arizona before week 5 against the Titans. It's a win. Tennessee is one of the weaker teams, in my opinion. I think they put up some points against Arizona, but the Cardinals are just able to put up more. I think there are shootout potentials. They're able to score more than 30, like 5-6 times that they have on this list, because they're feeling into that identity under Gannon. The run game is there. The balance is with Kyler. He's able to have a 30-plus touchdown, 4,000-yard year with around, 800 yards on the ground and about 10 rushing touchdowns. Like, that's what I'm expecting and think Kyler has in him. The full upside of what he can be can come on full display this year. Arizona moves to 3-2 on the year. A good game, though, in showing from Cam Ward with that connection with Calvin Ridley. At that point, they're heading the road to face the Indianapolis Colts. Of course, Indianapolis. We don't know the quarterback. Maybe you do watching this video. As of right now, Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, Riley Leonard. I have no idea who the starting quarterback is going to be, which leads me to think a 24-16 win and a 4-2 record for the Arizona Cardinals before a matchup at home against the Green Bay Packers the week before their bye week. Green Bay can run the heck out of the football. When they have been good the last 8 years, they can run the football well. The 20 years before that, maybe not so much. Leaning on Brett Favre's arm, Donald Driver, James Jones, Greg Jennings, with Rodgers, Cobb, and Nelson. Devontae Adams comes along. We know about Christian Watson and Gold. Like, they have been good when they were running the football. When they got beat by the Bucs in the NFC Championship game at home, they could run the ball well. When they got beat by the Niners, they could run the ball pretty well that year, and Rodgers didn't turn the ball over. It's just San Francisco could run the ball a little bit better in that champ game. If you're a Cardinal fan, you probably remember San Francisco ran for like 250 with Mostert against the Packers. Blowout champ game. I do have Green Bay winning this game because I think they can establish the run well, and they have enough talent dispersed so that it makes it very hard for Arizona to cover the versatility that is the Packers offense. You might say on the defense side of the ball, yeah. They don't have Jair Alexander, but they do have guys. And they do have a good pass rush, right? There's Rashawn Gary there, Kenny Clark in the middle of that defense. They have a good team. Green Bay Packers all well around. Don't think Arizona's quite on that level yet, but they are close. So 4-3 heading into the bye week. If you're a Cardinal fan, I'm curious, would you take it? Probably you got to. You got to, right? You have to. Before the bye week, and then, bear with me here, okay? You're at the Cowboys. This is not an easy game. It's a Monday night. There'll be 92,000 Cowboy fans. 92,000 fans in attendance there. Some Cardinal fans will get in there. Just head from the west, right? Get on a train ride. Head over to Arlington, Texas. Have them losing 21-23. It's Pickens and Lamb. Great duo. Of course, we know what they are on the defensive side of the ball with Bland and with Micah Parsons, of course, with Trayvon Diggs. They'll get a takeaway or two in this game. But they'll also give up a couple where Arizona will have a shot, but I do like Prescott's veteran ability. That's usually the theme with me, guys that are a bit more experienced coming back that have, I mean, that's typically with sport of football, is where you lean a lot of the time. So 4-4 before a divisional game against the Seahawks. I know you're not going to like this if you are a Cardinal fan because it'll drop them to 4-5 and 0-2 against Seattle on the year. And 1-3 in the division, but have them losing 20-21. Whether it's Milroe or Darnold, I talked about that receiving core earlier, but I didn't talk about Kenneth Walker and Zachariah Charbonnet in the backfield. Those are tough guys to bring down. The defense, Emin Worry now for Seattle. Like they have a pretty good roster. I don't have Seattle having a great year. Personally, feel like that team will try Darnold. Like, it's not the best experiment. Don't think that you're going anywhere in the NFC West or the NFC as a whole. With Stafford, with Baker Mayfield, and good play from Goff. Obviously, Jaden Daniels and Hurts. Like, Darnold won't be the guy to do it. Like, that was just not a miracle, but a Cinderella run a year ago. But this is a Seattle team that still has some players, even without Metcalf. And a bit more targets over to Smith and Jigba's way and Kupp over the middle is not a bad thing. 4-5 at that point before a home game against San Francisco on the right track. 26-17. They beat the 49ers. They figured them out from the first time. It's just like, let's stretch them on the outside. Like, who on San Francisco is going to cover Marvin Harrison Jr.? Frankly, what two guys on the 49ers are going to cover? It can't be Fred Warner. He can't do everything. He can't cover Marvin. So that's what I'm thinking 160 type yard game. Marvin gets like 15 targets and goes off in that second matchup. Like some of those Buckeye games that you can remember. You can see that I'm a Buckeye fan. So Arizona, there's a lot of Buckeyes on that team now. There's a lot of familiarity there, as well as the Michigan player, Will Johnson. Always had respect. He jumped Marvin on that play in the game a couple of years ago, in which Michigan, they've won all of them lately. But Marvin, his route running, he's faster than he looks at 6'4", 220 pounds now, even with the muscle he put on. They're going to figure it out. Against Michigan last year, they should have opened it up. This is the exact type of thing. Like, we should have opened it up a bit more against the 49ers. Instead of condensing the offense, open it up, take our vertical shots. McBride over the middle and Marvin on the outside. That is where we can stress the advantage. So at that point, 5-5 on the year. Going into a matchup at home against the Chargers. I got him against the Jaguars, 38-23, a win. Travis against Marvin is one of the more like college football fired up fan matchups to watch against Travis. The last two Biletnikoff Award winners are Travis Hunter and Marvin Harrison Jr. Seeing them go against each other on the like offense, defensive side. And then Travis Hunter being guarded by Will Johnson. That's a fascinating one to see them. That is one of the more underrated games because of all of that college talent. But just have Arizona put in a whole bunch of points on the board. 38 against Jacksonville overall, being able to pile it on. I got them beating the Bucs 31-29. This is a great Tampa Bay team. I've talked about them a lot in any of my content. You watch a Blitz Blender. I'm speaking highly of Tampa Bay. I speak highly of Baker Mayfield because of their receiving core. I mean, they're just so good. Godwin coming back. Hopefully he's healthy. And then Mike Evans, like Hall of Fame numbers. How could he not? And, of course, the depth of their receiving core. A win 31-29 shootout. And they pull it out for a huge win. Next up is the Rams. Huge divisional matchup. Don't play them until like December, right? And they get a win, 20-17. I think it's a late field goal. They're able to pull it out at home. They're in Glendale. The factors at bay here being, can you stop Jared Verse? He is a freak, right? Like 31 reps of 225. Braden Fisk in the middle, not to mention his former Florida State teammate and current Rams teammate. Can there be some sort of establishment with the run game? We've talked about the outside and their production, but where can we see Benson or James Conner really flex their muscles and have a game that I think that can be it, where they have the time and possession. Keep the ball out of Stafford's hands. You don't want to be in a shootout with the Rams next year. Turn it into ground and pounds, time and possession, like that Packers style we talked about. Maintain possession of the football. Don't turn it over and pull out a huge win against the Rams. So at this point in the year, like, you're listening to this and you're thinking, like, I'm adding this up. The Cardinals are 8-5. Like, they're 8-5 at this point. That's 3 wins in a row against the 49ers. 49ers, Jags, Bucks, Rams. They were 4-5. Now they're 8-5. It's just tricky this next 3 stretch. You got at the Texans. It's such a good roster. And Arizona might have the guys, like, in the secondary. Buda Baker, so talented. One of the best cover corners, and always up there with the number of tackles that he has. Max Melton, a good corner, competing in what will develop in that secondary. Up front, right, Mac Wilson being that factor, right? Well, Cody Simon split a little bit of time with him in the middle of that defense. But Houston, all 6 levels, and then the special teams, all 6, from their offensive line, their the quarterback, right, run game, receiving core, defensive line, linebacking core, second, like, they are built as well as any other team in football. It's just a tough matchup. So 8-6, a loss 30-23 to the Texans. I have them with a win to get them to 9-7 against Atlanta, like, right on that brink, right on the fringe of the playoffs, right there. 26-24, huge win at home there in Glendale, taking down Michael Penix Jr., Darnell Mooney, limiting him. All these teams now, like, look at the NFL. Everybody's got good duos. But what do you have at tight end? Like, that's really what it's coming down to at this point. Like, Kyle Pitts, what will he be? Will he ever have a breakout? If he does, I would change it. But as of now, he hasn't had, like, a crazy, huge season, productive. Like, he's the guy. And they went heavy, of course, James Pierce Jr., and they took Jalen Walker to try and transform their defensive line in a single season. Try to see how that works. Like, it's going to take time for Jordan Burch and Walter Nolan, the former number 1 overall prospect in all of high school football, like, for them to be huge factors. It takes time for those younger guys adjusting to the style of play and the effectiveness of offensive linemen in the NFL. So 9-7, beating the Falcons. It's just at the Bengals, at the Rams to end the year. They'd be 9-6 after the 9-6 after that game at the Bengals, who really will need this one, and then at the Rams, like, battling for positions. They'll be in a spot where maybe I don't know with the Rams, like, maybe they could be fighting for playoffs, but against the Bengals, I've got them giving up 40 points, like 39-31, and just get outlasted by Jamar Chase in Cincinnati there. What would be great for Arizona is if it's not a very cold game. Snow would be effective because it slows down everybody, but we do remember Cincinnati in the snow a couple of years ago against Buffalo, like in the Damar Hamlin year. They whooped Buffalo in the snow. It shocked everybody, but Jamar Chase apparently can run just as fast in the snow. Like, don't know how that works. But 39-31, a loss to the Bengals. This is where it's tough for me, so let me know in the comments how this end stretch goes, or am I being a little bit too optimistic about them earlier in the year? And I've got a loss 34-23 against the Rams. Those teams, like Bengals, are going to be playing so well on offense towards the end of the season, and the Rams, it's at SoFi 34-23. Just think the Rams are a better roster than Arizona for now. The younger guys, in 2 years, Arizona could outman them, maybe with like an aged a little bit Devontae Adams, and the offensive line for LA not being quite there, a younger Ferguson. It's just these new players for Arizona need to develop and come into their own. That will take time. This is the year for Arizona side, then finishing 9-8, right there for the playoffs. We'll see how that all washes out, if that is what they can be. Every year, it's like we see so much of great from Arizona, and then inconsistencies in getting stops when they need to. Same thing on the offense side. So we see great offense and then inconsistency. Why do we see 3 3-and-outs back to back to back? Why does that happen when the offense is just humming throughout the game? You scored 14 points and then you go 3-and-out the next 3 drives. Like, why does that happen? The Cardinals finding that baseline, keeping that gear, and then developing into a team that can show up time and time again, because that's what you need to. The NFC is just taking off at a number level with these younger quarterbacks that are doing well as the veteran play of Matthew Stafford that is a tough division. So I've got Arizona going 9-8. Let me know in the comments overall what you think about them. If I'm too high, too low, right, just perfect, Goldilocks style for them. Rooting for them this year with all the Bucks on that team. And make sure to stay tuned. More content. Check out any more of these videos that you want to see in the future. So excited, ready for football season. Leave a subscribe, comment, and I will see you next time. Thank you.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Blunder.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.